is there a real shot that Texas does not make the college football playoffs? Now, I feel like there is a very few amount of teams that I feel like around most circles people think that are just guaranteed to make the playoffs, and I think Texas is one of those teams. I think some of the other teams are teams like Georgia. A lot of people still think Michigan, even though I feel a little bit differently about that. Ohio State, so on. Now, guys, hear me out. Listen, I know that Texas has some amazing weapons. I mean, hell, look at the wide receiver group alone. Jonte Cook, Isaiah Bond, Matthew Golden. Those three guys are going to be your main three guys. They're going to be the guys that are going to carry your workload. They're going to be the 1, 2, 3. I mean, hell, they have CJ Baxter at running back. I mean, the guy had 659 rushing yards with 5 touchdowns last season. I think it's going to be a better year for him even this year. So look out for him. I think that Texas is going to have a crazy offensive line. I think that their defense is going to step it up even more. They got a couple of key transfers in there that I think are going to really make things pop for them. I mean, you guys have to remember the new college football playoff format. You're going to have conference winners automatically make it in, so that makes things interesting. Now, me personally, I think that Texas is still going to make the college football playoff, but I do think that there is a real scenario where you might not see them get in. I mean, if you guys think about it. So, 1 and 2 loss teams, they're fine. But if a team has 3 losses, that's kind of where it becomes a little iffy. And then, you might see some make it at the very tail end. But, I mean, if not, who knows? I mean, we haven't seen this playoff format yet. We don't know how it's going to work out. And obviously, we don't know exactly the scenario that all of these teams are going to be in at this point in the season. I mean, think about to a couple of years ago when Quinn Ewers went down in like the first game when they played Alabama. I mean, there's a real shot that things like that happen, so we don't know where these teams are going to be. But let's take a look at how Texas's schedule is going to look here. So you guys see, first week we have Colorado State. Easy, check it off, 1-0, great. That's a nice way to start things. But then week 2, you have Michigan at Michigan. Now, this is where things start to get a little, rocky for the season, as far as Texas goes. Playing Michigan at Michigan is going to be interesting. You're playing the defending national champions, obviously. They lost a good bit of tools into the draft, so that's why, in my personal opinion, I don't think Michigan is going to even be close to what they were this past season. I mean, obviously, 15-0. Can't really beat that, to be honest, but I do think that they are going to be a 2 or 3 loss team most likely, and honestly, I'm personally going to say Texas wins this game. That may sound disrespectful. I think Texas is going to be better this year than they were last. I think that their defense is a little bit better, if not significantly. I think Quinn Ewers is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Obviously, I'm excited to see Arch Manning get in there, and I don't wish anything bad on Quinn Ewers at all, but he does have a history of getting injured, so we will see how that goes. But I think Texas is going to start off 2-0 here. UTSA, ULM, Mississippi State, I think you can just go ahead and check those 3 off. So in my book, they're 5-0 already. But keep in mind, there's a very real shot that they lose that game at Michigan, and I'm sure that there is a ton of people who probably are choosing Michigan to win that game. So, I mean, we're either 5-0 or we're 4-1 at this point, and I think that when you get to the Red River rivalry game against Oklahoma, this is another one where it can really go either way. Obviously, it's not a home game. I mean, it's still in Texas, so say whatever you want to about that. But, Oklahoma, it's going to be interesting. I haven't really seen Brent Venables put it all together there yet. I mean, they've been a little iffy on the offense here and there, and I don't know how they're going to be on offense. You got to think they lost Dylan Gabriel. They lost their freaking quarterback. Who knows? Oklahoma is historically very good with quarterbacks, but obviously that was when Lincoln Riley was there, so we don't know how that's going to play out in Oklahoma. I do think that there is a shot Texas loses this game, but I think that they are going to win it. So we're either going to be 5-1 or we're we're either going to be 4-2 or we're going to be 6-0 right now, and I think that odds are it's going to be 6-0. You know, right after that, though, you play Georgia. It's a home game for you, so you have that going for you if you're a Texas fan. But I do think that Georgia is going to be the best team in college football this year. I mean, I really don't know how else to put it. I think that they were the best team last year and the best team before that. They're just amazing. The Bulldogs are crazy. Kirby Smart, he's doing an awesome job. I think that even though it's a home game for Texas, I think that they lose this game against Georgia. So this is one where I think that it is set in stone. I think Georgia's most likely going to win the Natty, but it's a 12-team playoff, so upsets are going to happen. Who knows? So, I mean, with how we've looked at things so far, you know, we are either sitting at probably 6-1 or 4-3. I mean, you know, there's a real shot that they lose against Georgia, Oklahoma, and Michigan. Even though I have them winning 2 of those games, there's a real shot that they lose both of those. And I mean, who knows? Maybe somebody like Mississippi State comes out and upsets them. We genuinely just don't know. I mean, obviously, Vanderbilt is probably going to be another one where I'm going to just go ahead and check it in the win category. I think that they could somehow bring a little bit of competition to them, but I think Texas is just going to steamroll Vandy. You know, you get down here to Florida, so it's another home game for you. That's good. I think that Florida is going to be a very, very interesting team this next season. They have a lot going for them. I mean, they got their quarterback. He's looking fucking incredible. No other way to put that. They're going to be a competitive team, and who knows? Maybe they're sitting somewhere in this area where they're like maybe 6-2, or maybe they're 7-1 by this point. Who knows? I mean, Florida has a real shot of taking this game as well. They are fortunate enough to be playing most of these teams that are tough at home, but there's a real shot they lose this. I think that how we see things now, Texas is probably going to win this, but who knows? We don't know where they're going to be at that point. I will say it over and over again. As much as, you know, you can predict these things, you just simply can't tell the future. There's no way. But, yeah, Florida's got a shot, but I still have Texas winning that. And then you got Arkansas. They're going to be competitive, and it's at Arkansas. It's going to be towards the end of the season, you know. Who knows where Arkansas is going to be at? They might have a chance of making the playoffs themselves. I mean, maybe they're a 2-3 loss team. I mean, honestly. So, don't give up on Arkansas, but I think Texas wins that as well. Kentucky, you know, Kentucky had a little stunt of being good, and then they kind of just fell back off, and it's just kind of been that way ever since. So I think this is going to be another easy game for Texas. I think they kill Kentucky. Texas A&M, obviously, like, the battle for Texas is right here. I mean, it really is. There's a real shot that A&M can pull this off simply for the rivalry. I mean, you cannot ever count a team out in a game like this. It's just not something you can do. It's always 50-50. But I think Texas wins this game. But it's another one where they just genuinely have a shot. Now, if you guys want me to say the absolute worst that I think that Texas is going to do this season, I think that's going to be 7-5. I think that that is the absolute most disastrous thing that could happen to Texas. Now, I don't think that there is even a higher percentage than 5% chance of that fucking happening. Maybe even less. I think that it's probably less. But that's worst case scenario. Absolute worst. Now, best case scenario, I think that they go 11-1. I think that, you know, with all of the tough teams that they play, you know, they're playing Michigan at Michigan, you know, the Red River rivalry, you got the battle for Texas, you're playing Georgia, you're playing Florida, even Arkansas in there. You know, it's going to be a tough season for Texas. I think that they're going to be a very, very good football team, and I think that odds are that they make the playoff, but 7-5 is a possibility, just as much as 11-1 is. You never know in college football. They could fucking lose every game this season for all we know. You just have no clue. That is going to do it for this video. I want you guys to really let me know down in the comments how you think Texas is going to do this season. Like I said, 11-1. I think that the most realistic outcome is going to be 10-2 or 11-1, but they might fall to a couple more teams. Who knows? Let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching the video. Peace.